Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Something different, something new. They say variety is the spice of life, right? Yeah, that's what this is.
I thought I'd try something different this time. Anyway, will the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K make the Netflix approved list for 2025? Well, that's a good question and only time will tell. But we do have some clues because the Blackmagic URSA CINE 12K, which uses the same sensor, has already been approved. Blackmagic has already told us that the PYXIS 12K and the URSA CINE 12K uses exactly the same sensor, their new RGBW sensor. And if you watch my comparison video where I compared the URSA CINE 12K with the PYXIS 12K and 6K, you would have seen that there are some differences between the two cameras, but the sensor is the same and a lot of the other performance variables are exactly the same. So what are the criteria for making the Netflix camera approved list? And how do you set up your camera for best performance according to Netflix? Well, that's what today's video is about. So join me after the break and let's find out. So, according to Netflix, in order to meet image capture standards required by Netflix, the following capture attributes must be adhered to. Resolution, a minimum of 3840 photo sites capture with spherical. So what this simply means is that if you're shooting spherical, Netflix insists that you're shooting at a minimum resolution of 4K. Well, that's not a problem for the PYXIS 12K because the resolution is 12288 by 8040. So that's the full frame RGBW sensor. Next up is the codec. So they require that you have a lightly compressed or uncompressed RAW or intra-frame based codec with 442 chroma subsampling, which of course again is no problem because the PYXIS 12K records in Blackmagic RAW. Bit depth. They want a bit depth of 10 bit or greater. Not a problem because the bit depth for the 12K is 12-bit RAW recording. Data rate. The minimum data rate is 240 megabits per second at 24 frames per second. With the PYXIS, the data rates vary depending on the compression setting, but the maximum data rate at 24 frames per second is 9,248 megabits per second for 12K. So obviously that's way above what they require. Color space. So they require that you have a scene referred color space.
And if I asked you, what is a scene referred color space? And you said,
a scene referred color space defines how the full spectrum of real world colors is encoded by the camera, independent of any display. It's designed to retain as much color information as possible for accurate grading and flexible delivery in SDR, HDR, or cinema workflows. Examples include S-Gamut 3, Alexa wide gamut, and red wide gamut.
then you'd be right.
And we can see that the PYXIS 12K utilizes Blackmagic Design's Generation 5 color science with a wide color gamut. Transfer function. They require that the camera has a scene referred transfer function.
And if I asked you, what is a scene referred transfer function? And you said,
a scene referred transfer function is a log-based curve that maps real-world light levels captured by the camera into a digital format optimized for grading. It preserves the full dynamic range of the scene, giving colorists maximum control in post-production. Common examples include S-Log3, Log-C, and Blackmagic Film.
then you'd be right again.
And if we look at what the PYXIS 12K offers, it employs Blackmagic's film log curve. Okay, so the final requirement is regarding timecode. So it says the system is capable of jamming to an external sync source. Timecode should be written as metadata. And of course, the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K and the 6K has a BNC for timecode input, and the timecode is in fact embedded as metadata. So all ticks for the PYXIS 12K based on the chart provided by Netflix. Okay, so according to Netflix, this is the camera production guide for the URSA CINE 12K, and we can assume safely that it's going to be a very similar setup and scenario for the PYXIS 12K, because a lot of the menu options and operational settings are going to be quite similar between the two units. Okay, so they go through all the different parameters, but the ones that you need to really look at and the ones that are pretty critical in terms of what they want you to adhere to are the ones in yellow. So we look at the resolution. In the shooting mode, we want the resolution to be obviously above 4K, which is part of the stipulation. So it needs to be 12K, 9K, 8K, or 4K. Things like the aspect ratio and the D-squeeze, obviously up to you to choose. But the other things that they want you to be very specific about, the gamma color space, that needs to be Blackmagic film, and also the raw format in terms of the compression ratio, those need to be certain values as well. So the constant bit rate, you need to be looking at 3:1, 8:1, 12:1, and not 18:1. So if you go to 18:1, that's presumably going to be too low a bit rate, and that's going to be contrary to what they were saying before of having a bit rate that's higher than 240 megabits per second. And the constant quality, it's a similar situation. Q0 is fine, Q1 is fine, Q3 is great, Q5 is a no-no because again, the bitrate is going to be too low. So those are the main things you need to consider when setting up your camera for Netflix approval. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching. And I hope you found value in this video. If you did, it would be great if you could like, subscribe, comment, share in your Facebook groups, share on threads, all that good stuff that makes the algorithm happy. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay lucky, stay blessed.